Council President Hines.
Thank you, Chief. Let me first start out by saying I commend the outstanding work and efforts that go on the police department. It's our strong support behind the police officers, the men and women in blue, and appreciate, again, the outstanding job that they do with the leadership of Chief Flynn. We all know that when I get a chance to speak with residents, I think we all know that neighborhoods are only as safe as the willingness of residents to get involved. And it's clearly evident by the reflections of these numbers that while police officers and men and women in blue are doing an outstanding job, they're partnering with others to help them reduce crimes in our neighborhoods, in our communities. Doing so with the churches, as was mentioned by the mayor, with the community-based organizations, and many others to help reduce crime. While we're dealing with the reality of crime, we're also dealing with the perception of crime. And I can say during the course of the summer, while these numbers are looking exceptionally great, people are also beginning to believe in the perception of crime and are back out on their porches, out on the streets, out in their yards playing, because they too not only recognize that the numbers are down, but the perception and what they feel, the safety and the security in their neighborhood, and feeling more empowered. And so that's a great thing as well. Again, I stand here to show my support to the chief, to the men and women in blue, and do so on behalf of the City of Milwaukee Common Council, who is firmly supportive of the outstanding job they do. And with that, I'd like to bring the Chairman of Finance and Personnel, Alderman Murphy.
Thank you, President Hines. When you consider these numbers in context of the fact that we've had we're in a great recession, where we see many cities where you have high unemployment numbers, you see an increasing level of crime. In this case, we see the opposite in the city of Milwaukee, which is tantamount to my belief that we have such great cooperation with the community, with our law enforcement, and under the strong leadership of our Chief Flynn. I'm very proud to say that Milwaukee is going in the right direction, and we should be talking about this more to our residents and letting the business community know that this is a safe place to do your business in and a safe place to have a family and raise your children. And I'm grateful for the men and women behind me who have put themselves on the line to make these numbers come to reality. We need to continue working forward to keeping these crime numbers going down in the right direction. But I once again want to say thank you to the whole community for working together to put this into place. And of course, I want to say thank you to Chief Flynn, who's really shown great leadership in making these numbers come to reality. Thank you.
I must truly say that such a report as we are receiving today is inevitable. We are seeing a change in our community, and I truly believe that it's going to last. We have great leadership in this city and people who are working together to make changes. We are happy to participate in this review, showing a decrease across the board for some during the first 6 months of this year. We thank Chief Flynn for his fine leadership and commitment to his job. We thank the brave men and women who continue to risk their lives in doing this needed work. We sincerely wish a speedy recovery for the officers who have been injured in duty. Our prayers go out to their families. We send commendations to the 3 citizens who came out to the aid of the officers. We appreciate the positive response from citizens of this community who are making it possible for improvements in the welfare of all citizens. Citizens, please continue to work to take control of our communities. Our citizens deserve to be protected. Let us all enjoy a peaceful summer.
Obviously, crime prevention works well the more partners you have. As Alderman Hines noted, we've seen increasing cooperation from neighborhoods. Indeed, when 2 of our officers were wounded in the line of duty, it was members of that community who stepped forward to assist them and help out in the investigation. Recently, when Sergeant Walsh, off duty, ran from his house to chase an armed suspect, it was a member of the neighborhood that lent him a cell phone to call for assistance as he was chasing the suspects. And I sincerely believe that one bellwether about whether or not our neighborhoods are getting well is the extent to which people in those neighborhoods feel safe enough to cooperate with the police department to work with them to make their neighborhoods safe. And I think we're seeing progress there. Now, certainly one important partnership for us is the semi-truck industry. One important partnership for us is our partnership with the federal government. Our work with the United States Attorney's Office, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the FBI, has been critical in our ongoing efforts to control gang violence and drug crime in the city of Milwaukee. Indeed, our most successful investigations long term have absolutely been because our federal partners have been intrinsic to them. We're joined today by Miles Burden from the FBI, Rich Froling from the United States Attorney's Office, and our ATF partners, Lori Dyer and John Schmidt. I thank them for joining us here, and I thank them for all the assistance they've rendered the Milwaukee Police Department in keeping this a safe city. I also have with me Dr. Mallory O'Brien, who's the Executive Director of the Homicide Review Commission. She's here and she'll be available to speak behind the numbers in terms of what some of the numbers mean. She's highly qualified to do so. I also have in back of me a great number of people, some of whom will have to know the answer to some of the questions you'll ask, and many of them will be available afterwards if you want to talk to them individually. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Tony Anderson. Is Tony here? Hi, all right. Well, Tony Anderson is from the Elizabeth Avenue Neighborhood Development Association, and she's been a very important partner with the police department in making her neighborhood safe. We also have Mike Boucher from the Amaranth Bakery. Mike? Okay, all right, Mike, say hi. They'll certainly be available for one-on-ones after we're done. Now, we've got plenty of work to do, and before the story becomes, why did Chief Flynn have all these police officers at the press conference instead of protecting us, we'll take a few minutes for questions, and then we'll let everybody get back to work. Well, I think it's an issue that needs to be addressed. I've had some conversations with the mayor about it, and obviously, as we move forward trying to come up with a legislative agenda to deal with gun crime, there's going to be a number of recommendations that we're going to be discussing, and we're going to forward our final recommendations to the legislature for a special session. I don't know if you want to talk about the special session, Mayor? Okay. Yes, there has been a 67% decrease in domestic violence-related homicides. It's an issue of concern for us. Our sense is really there's been a lot of discussion about the impact of the economy on crime. I don't think the average person who suddenly finds himself without a job becomes a burglar or a robber. But what I think can happen is that families that are economically stressed in the first place, when they're even more stressed by an economy such as ours, all too often that stress is operationalized in the family unit. And I think that may be some part of the variable that's driving this spike in domestic homicides. I'm having discussions with some chiefs from other parts of the country to see if this is a trend or just a phenomenon of our first few months, but it's an issue of concern to us.
What is the message you want to send to those?
Well, I think the message really to friends and family and neighbors is if you see a family in crisis, please step up. Step up, number one, to talk to them and see if you can render some help. But step two is contact us or contact social services. We're not looking to make preemptive domestic violence arrests, but if we can get the right array of services into a troubled family, we might prevent that shaken baby or that domestic assault that ends up being a homicide. Well, there's no time for a halftime locker room pep talk here. There's no time to, rest on laurels. What we do is we track the numbers. Almost inevitably, the numbers, the crime dots, if you will, get a little bit ahead of us somewhere. Do we notice the pattern and can adjust our deployments to that pattern? But we're committed to a certain strategy. The strategy emphasizes partnerships with our federal partners as well as with the community. The strategy emphasizes engagement with neighborhoods. It emphasizes problem solving. It emphasizes data. And it emphasizes being very flexible with how we deploy our resources with an emphasis on prevention. So we've got our fundamental strategy in place.